Hey everybody, this is Rob Benedict. I played Chuck on the TV show Supernatural that I think you might be familiar with if you're listening to this podcast. Well, I have an announcement to make. I'm in a band called Loud and Swain. You may or may not know that, but we are playing a live show in Los Angeles, California at the world famous Troubadour. That is happening on June 27th of this month. This June, I'm talking about this June 2025. And we're playing with a bunch of other great bands, and it's an all-ages club, so you can come no matter what age you are and have a great time. If you've never seen us in a club setting, well, you're in for a treat, because this is really how we got our start, and this is where we shine. So we're so happy to play in our hometown of Los Angeles and to play for all of you. So come see us. Again, that's June 27th. There are tickets available. Go to loudenswain.com. That's LOUDENSWAIN.com. And click on tour, and then click on June 27th at the Troubadour. There's a ticket link there. We've got VIP meet and greet tickets, and we've got tickets just to see the show. So come rock with us June 27th at the Troub, Loud and Swain. We'll see you there. Hey, and a special shout out to the ladies behind the Denim Wrapped Nightmares podcast. Thank you so much, guys. Lots of love.
Welcome to Denim Wrapped Nightmares, Tipsy Exchange podcast, where we explore the Supernatural series, episode by episode.
Over drinks, we'll discuss the lore, the gore, and what we adore about the Winchesters and their adventures.
I'm Berly, and I'm a new fan of the series.
I'm LA, and I'm here along for the ride. Now let's get tipsy.
Hello, LA.
Hey, Berly. Our last episode was titled Heartache, and Sam and Dean were investigating a string of unusual murders where the victims were all recipients of organs from the same donor. And the killer was captured, but things became even more complicated when the brothers found the killer, and he was just in a trance mumbling an ancient prayer. And then it ended up being, a Mayan god?
Yeah.
And he was in the form of this sports guy. And then we learned that he had been alive all these years, but then basically killed himself because he realized his wife was getting older and he was going to have to live without her, which was super depressing and sad.
Right? Yeah.
And then we had a sassy
Randa.
Randa, yeah. That was an interesting one.
It was one that I really wanted to say it was good, but it had both too much and not enough going on at the same time. You know, like the stuff they elaborated on, I didn't need them to elaborate on. And the stuff I did, they didn't.
Right.
Yeah. Well, today's episode is called Bitten. Bitten.
I almost thought you were going to say bitch for a second. I was like, no, that's not
today's
the name of it.
Episode is called Bitch in the Making, maybe.
Ooh. Yeah.
Bitten. It's the 4th episode of season 8 and originally aired on October 24th. 2012. We open up where they're going into a house and there's like this chill coffee shop like music playing. What's the matter, baby? You know? And there's I thought it was paint at first, I'll be honest. I was like,
really?
Yeah, the way it was just kind of flung around, I was like, what is this? And it was just very vibrant red. But it wasn't paint, y'all. And I realized that whenever they kept panning over and then it showed like a foot and like an ankle that looked like it had been ripped off with like the chucks on it. Yeah. I was like, oh. And there's like a body in the middle of the floor and it's like, what's happening? Sam and Dean come and kick in the door. They got the guns out ready. And they're like scoping around being like, okay, what's going on here? And then they notice that there's a laptop that's kind of propped open a little bit, and it has a little Post-it note on it that says, play me.
Which I thought I know we talked about that this episode's not that exciting.
Right.
But I liked this, that the way it was done, I liked.
Agreed. And I liked that we got to see the origin story of a monster.
Right.
Of one of the monsters. That was cool. Like there were a lot of cool elements to this, but same thing with last week's episode. It just kind of dragged a little bit for me in some places. But very cool opening, you know. They see the play and they go to play, and then we get the supernatural. Those are the noises I'm going with today.
Okay.
You like that?
Yeah. Switching it up.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Before it cuts, it does say, "This should never have ended this way."
Yes.
I like that, after she murders the incel and says goodbye to her dead boyfriend, that she put in work with editing together this little movie.
Right.
For Sam and Dean. She was like, okay, I am on a timetable here. Those hunters are going to be showing up here any minute now, but I'm going to deliver them some quality work. Okay?
Yeah, let me sit down in this bloody mess of an apartment with bodies behind me and just edit the shit out of it.
Yeah, let me go pull that footage from the restaurant that Brian was able to hack into and get, and let me make sure I am including the hunters so that they know that I know who they are. And I really need to create a cinematic masterpiece here before I plead to them to let me go. If I turn in shoddy work, they might come after me, I
respect it,
right?
Good for her.
Good for her. And it worked.
Yeah.
At the end, Dean was like, I don't know. That movie was kind of good.
I was surprised by that.
I think we should let her go. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm jumping ahead already. Okay. So whenever we open up, there's Brian the Incel, and he is captain of the AV club and has his camera and is really into just filming strangers without their consent. And then his friend, Michael.
Michael's pretty cute.
He was a cutie. I thought he was really cute.
Good frame.
Yeah. I liked his hair. I mean, he was adorable. We can just say he was adorable. He was fucking adorable. Yes. And he had a good personality. He wasn't an asshole. He was kind of a slacker a little bit. He was one of those slacker guys in college. He was doing the stuff, but he wasn't as into it as Brian. So he takes the camera and he's messing with it too. And he starts filming a table of girls that are talking. And we zoom in on Kate. And she's adorable as well.
I feel like I've seen her in something else. I didn't look her up on IMDb to see, but she looked kind of familiar. Not anything like main person, but maybe like friend or something she was in.
Right. And just that haircut that she had, I feel like that was really popular for a while too. So that was the other thing that I was like, have I seen this actress before, or just have I seen this look?
Oh, that's true.
But she was really cute, and I thought she did phenomenal in the role. So
she did.
She sees this hottie with a body filming her, and it's just like, okay, there's my window to go talk to this guy. So they have their cute little banter going back and forth where he's kind of apologizing for filming without her consent. And then she's like, it's okay. I like cute guys with good cameras. And so then, of course, we see Brian over there being like, because it's his camera. And he's, of course, entitled to everything, right?
Man, you do not like Brian.
I do not like Brian.
I didn't either, but at first I wasn't even I wasn't upset with him right now, like you are.
I knew from the jump where we were going with the Brian character.
Okay, I didn't.
We see later in the house this little recap that I use for reference. It says Kate and Mike are in the next room making love. I didn't hear that they were making love. I heard them giggling and having fun. And then, of course, later she does come out of the room in just a t-shirt. So I figured it was implied, but I didn't realize that Brian, just sat out there in their living room, clicking away on the computer, listening to them the whole time.
Yeah, go to your room.
And, speaking of consent, did y'all tell her that you have cameras hidden all over your house because Brian's making a movie, even though he doesn't know what the movie is yet? He's just recording footage everywhere, apparently. Brian.
Fucking Brian. They were a cute kind of little trio for a minute before Brian kind of went left. For me, anyway. He went left for you right away. But
the look he made whenever she said, I like cute guys with great cameras, and it panned over and showed him, just the look on his face, I was like, oh, okay.
I guess I was probably writing a note, so I didn't see it.
They pan over and he's literally staring at his friend. I knew right away, oh, this is one of those guys who will still hang out with his friend all the time, but secretly fucking hates his friend.
Well, but Michael I thought it was sweet of Michael and Kate to include him a lot.
They tried, but again, that wasn't what Brian wanted, so didn't go the way it could have gone.
I did also like the how it shows them in class during a lecture, and it's about Lord of the Flies.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
You didn't?
No.
That was a whole thing because he kept saying, I think, like Michael slept through that lecture, so he didn't even pay attention to it or whatever. But the professor was specifically talking about Piggy. You remember? Brian references that like 2 other times. How he doesn't want to be Piggy.
I heard him talking about that, but I had no idea where that had come from. I was like, did I miss the bullies calling him Piggy or something? Like that went completely over my head. That is a wonderful catch. That's really cool. Yeah.
Because as soon as like it was Lord of Flies that came up, I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice. And then the farther we got, I was like, oh, okay, I see where he's coming from.
See, I haven't read Lord of the Flies. So do
you haven't?
No. What can you tell me about the Piggy character? Do you know?
Oh, vaguely. Well, do you know the gist of it?
Like they get stranded and they end up. Yeah.
And it just like it goes south. I mean, I think Piggy is like the one that they all pick on, and I want to say that they might end up killing him. I could be totally wrong because I read it years and years and years ago, but I remember the gist of it. But yeah, anyway, I just know that he was the outcast. That's why Brian keeps saying, I'm tired of being the Piggy, like, not in with everybody, but not like the leader. He's like low on the totem pole and all that. It's fucked up. You should read it.
I probably will. I just started Yellow Jackets.
Oh, yeah. See, similar.
So I remembered now the reason why I wasn't paying attention to what the professor was saying in the lecture because they were zooming in on that pin on his lapel.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like studying that and trying to figure out what that was. Like, sure, that's going to be important later. That's a really random thing for them to decide to zoom in on. So I was too distracted trying to focus on the pin and didn't listen to the lecture. But that's good to know. Because again, I just kept thinking, I guess the bullies called him Piggy. I don't know where that's coming from. What's he fucking talking about? That makes so much more sense. They're leaving and they see cops like securing a crime scene. And they kind of go walking up and are like, I guess we're going to film this. This kind of bothered me. Sam and Dean come pulling up in the Impala. Like the hood of the car goes under the crime scene tape. Like they come pulling up and you hear the engine like as they're pulling up. I'm like, real nonchalant, guys. Way to blend in.
They're like, we're making an entrance.
Yeah, right? And so, and in case you didn't see them, whenever they get out of the car, these little college kids start making fun of them, like calling them Rizzoli and Isles and Starsky and Hutch and whatever. And I was just like, oh my God, what the hell? That was a choice.
Oh, I just snorted a little.
Yeah, you did. So they go over and they are talking to the detective in charge about this scene. And we can see the body. There's a sheet on it. It reminded me of back in the day when we would get the bloody gauze.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, aw, nostalgia. And it turns out this is one of Brian and Michael's neighbors who's been attacked and his heart got ripped out of his chest. So it's like, uh-oh, that's not good. They all go back to their house, Brian, Michael, and Kate. Mike puts on that song that was playing at the beginning of the episode. And he tells Kate this was the song that was playing when we met.
Oh, how sweet.
Of course, Brian comes over to interrupt to be like, we need to go. We need to leave this room right now. And she's just like, really? Like, you're going to come and drop some romantic stuff like that in my lap and then take off? And Michael's like, sorry, like I told them I would help them. I guess they were like testing out some camera equipment or something. I don't know. So they just go traipsing around at night after this murder. Then they see Sam and Dean again and they zoom in and they're like, oh my God, is that like a lover's spat? What is going on with them? What is happening there? They end up seeing one of the bullies assaulting a girl and then she shoves the guy away and runs off. And they just sit there laughing and then accidentally kick something. So then the bully sees that these two guys are just filming him. So they start running off. Well, the bully goes chasing after Brian through I think it was the football field. And then Michael yells out, I don't remember his name, but he says the bully's name. He's like, hey, meet me at bully's mom's house. So the bully turns to chase Michael instead. And Michael's like yelling like, don't worry, man. Like I've already paid her or something. I don't know. So Michael runs and hides somewhere. And at first he's like laughing his ass off. And then he starts hearing a little bit of growling. Uh-oh. We see him like get pulled up out of frame and then he drops. The camera like gets shut off or something. Lucky for Michael that Brian was able to find him in his little hiding spot. So then we're seeing Brian's footage where he's just like, holy shit, what happened? And he zooms in and we see that he got bit on his shoulder. He, of course, takes Michael just like straight back to their house. You know, we don't call 911. We don't.
Yeah, no.
No. Takes him straight back to the house and tells Kate like he got attacked. Michael's like out of it. He doesn't know what happened. Kate is straight up asking them, is this a fucking prank? Like, what are y'all doing? Because there's no bite there. It's already healed. It's already gone. But Michael is still terrified.
Well, yeah, rightfully so.
That would have been scary. The next day, we hear Brian and Kate, and they're kind of talking about Michael going to the doctor, and Brian's just like, he's fine. So he's gone and gotten checked out. Everything's good. Michael comes walking out and goes to go to the bathroom, and when he opens the door, he accidentally pulls it completely off its hinges.
That was funny.
It was. His reaction to the door coming off was really cute, too.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, fuck. So then they're just like, oh my God, let's experiment. So next thing we know, he's like holding Kate over his head, just laughing, having a grand time.
Then just does it with one arm.
Do it with one arm. And then she loses her balance and he catches her, no problem. They're looking super freaking adorable. Then Brian is like, oh my God, inspiration struck. I'm going to put even more cameras around the house because I know my movie now. Well, Kate, not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, we still don't know what happened exactly. They are not on the same page with this. So then Brian takes it even one step further and is just like, oh my God, Mike, you know, it would be really cool if you bit me, right? So that I can be like you. And Michael is just like, what the fuck, man? Like, we don't know what's going on with me. No, I'm not going to do that. And then that's when we get Brian like, I don't want to be Piggy. Sam and Dean show up at the house. They're like, knock, knock, knock. Hi, we're trying to get information about what happened to your neighbor. Well, Mike and Kate were like getting high, so they run and hide.
That was a huge bong, by the way.
Massive.
when Michael comes walking out with it, I was like, good God.
Anyway, Brian talks to them. Sam and Dean said there's rumors of somebody being bitten. Do you know anything? Like, we're trying to figure out about animals, you know, whatever. And Brian's like, no, I don't know anything. So they leave. And that's whenever Mike and Kate come out and they're just like, oh shit. And they hear the guys out there talking on the porch saying something about another Mayan god because the hearts are getting ripped out, right? And so they're like, we're not seeing any other signs. It's not the right time of month for werewolves. Like maybe they missed one of the donors somehow or something, right? So now Michael is like really excited. He's like, my God.
He's like, I am a golden god.
Is that what happened?
I love that he's like saying all this and so excited while still holding
giant
like,
bong.
the giant bong.
Well, unfortunately for Michael, that night he gets an answer to his question that no, that is not what's going on. He goes to the bathroom in the middle of the night and of course takes a camera with him and changes into a werewolf, which kind of confused me because they say in the episode this isn't the right time of the month for that. So why is Michael wolfing out then?
He's new. He's just a baby.
Baby's first transformation doesn't have to happen on a full moon. I was kind of confused by that. I was like, wait a minute, y'all literally showed them saying, nope, not the right time of month for that. So we got to go research and figure out what this is.
Who knows?
Maybe it's because he got bitten by an alpha or a true whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Because they talk about that later.
I did like the transition, though, how they did it. The eye switching was pretty
The eye switching. I mean, even the teeth. I always love whenever they do the supernatural monster teeth because they put so much thought and detail into it. Like, I haven't seen monster teeth look bad yet in Supernatural.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
The
Ooh,
nail.
and then the claw coming out from under the fingernail.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Away.
It was cool. And then him going in and the claws like gently caressing Kate's face before he disappears into the night. Ooh.
Gotta go hunt.
What'd you call me? All the bullies are patrolling the neighborhood and looking for the killer animal because that's what they're all thinking it is at this time. And then they spot Michael and he's like, I'm not in the mood for your bullshit. Leave me alone. And runs off. But of course, the bully who wanted to beat him up earlier chases after him. Is talking shit. And then he starts talking shit about Kate. And that was the wrong move. It was the wrong move. Mike transforms and gets him.
Oh, yeah.
This is when they find the heart is from this victim. They find the heart had been pulled out and mostly eaten. So that's whenever they figure out, oh, okay. And that's when they're confused, being like, it's not the right time of month. And that's where I was confused, going, wait a minute.
I feel like that's a running theme with this season, though. Like, a lot of stuff we're like, wait, what?
Right.
Like, where did you come to this? We're just like, I don't know. A lot of things aren't adding up, I think, for each episode.
We'll say it's because it was an alpha. And they're using True Blood instead of an alpha. Like, they were calling it a true, weren't they call it True Blood or something like that instead of calling it alpha? And I'm like, surely that's the same thing.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah.
I was like, why are they using different language now?
Pure blood.
Pure blood. That's what it was. Yeah. Pure blood. They were saying pure blood. Whatever. Let's move on.
Yeah.
That bumped for me a little bit. I was like, wait a minute. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, the next morning, Brian is asking Kate if she's like afraid of Michael. And she's like, no, it's kind of hot. I'm into it. And so I'm like, great. He's going to bother him even more to try and turn him into this monster that he doesn't know what it is. And so they're talking about that. They're just kind of, she's laughing about it, being like, it's actually kind of hot. And then he pans over and there's Michael standing in the doorway, just like covered in blood, like all over his face. And I'm like, is it hot now, Kate?
Yeah.
It's still
Ooh. Hey, honey.
Michael goes and like washes everything off before he talks to them, and he's claiming he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't remember what happened. They're looking at the footage of him changing into the werewolf, and he's just like, I don't know, man. Don't know what happened. We find out later that is not true, that he remembers what happens. He remembers biting into that heart and yada, yada, yada. So, oops. So Brian is kind of being like, what the fuck, man? This is really weird. And Kate's kind of being like, we don't know what happened. It could have been self-defense. And then she's like, you wouldn't get it, Brian, because you haven't been in love.
Uh-oh.
You don't understand.
Wrong thing to say to him.
Michael and Kate decide that they need to get some more answers. They want to know what's going on. So they go track down Sam and Dean and eavesdrop on their conversation with the coroner at the morgue. And the coroner is telling them, listen, the biggest animals that we have problems with on a regular basis are raccoons. Like, I don't know what to tell y'all. These aren't animals. And I think this is when Sam and Dean are like, no, it's not the wrong time. It's the wrong time of month. Like, it can't be werewolves. We got to hit the books and do some more research. And Michael and Kate are like, what the fuck is going on? And then Brian pops around the corner and is like, hey guys.
Stalker.
They're like, what the fuck, man? Why are you here? How did you find us? And he was like, duh, the GPS in your phones. Michael says, like, dude, you're really starting to creep me out. But then we just move right past this because Kate goes, what else can you hack? And we move on to follow Sam and Dean to the diner where they're eating. And Brian hacks into the security cameras there so that they can cover every angle and hear everything that Sam and Dean talk about. And so Sam and Dean, this is when they're talking about purebloods and that purebloods can control it and yada, all this other stuff that we've kind of already talked about. They apparently also talk more about spending a year apart. And so even though I didn't like the joke necessarily when it happened where they were like, lover spat, ha ha ha, office romance, ha ha ha, I did think it was funny whenever Brian was like seriously like, so Michael, I think that maybe you were right. Like, I think maybe it is a romance thing. And they're like upset because they were apart for a year because they talked about it a lot. We know now Michael's freaking out because he knows he killed Scott. I think it's Scott. Scott is the bully.
Yeah, it is.
Now, like, okay, it makes sense as to why he's freaking out. Like, he thinks he's going to go to jail or something. So while they're fighting, Brian is going over the footage of the original attack on Mike whenever he found him in his little hiding spot, having been bitten and all of that. And he spots something reflective. And he kind of calls out to them like, hey, guys, like, I think I found something. But they slam the door. So he's looking at it and he realizes it's that pin that was on his professor's lapel. Later on, we see Brian coming home from somewhere and Kate's packing. Michael comes out and Brian's like, hey, don't worry about it. You don't need to pack up. You don't need to run away. You don't need to flee the fictional FBI. I took care of it. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Brian goes, hang on, don't worry. I got it all on film.
Of course he does.
Let me show you. So it turns out he went to the professor's office hours And he walked in there with his camera in his professor's face. And he was all like, I know what you are. You're impossibly fast and strong. Your skin is pale white and ice cold. Your eyes change color. And sometimes you speak like you're from a different time. And the professor goes, say it, Brian. Say it. And Brian goes, you're a werewolf.
That was good. That was good.
Do you like that? Do you like
yeah.
that?
When you first, I was like, wait a minute, he didn't say that. And then I was like, oh, I see where she's going.
He did go in there and be like, I know what you are.
Yeah, he was real dramatic.
Yeah. And he pulls out, what was it, a letter opener?
Was it? No,
was it a knife?
I think it was a knife because he has a knife.
It was blunt as hell. That shit was blunt as hell if that was a knife. It looked like a letter opener, like a butter knife or something to me. It looked real blunt. So he's like threatening the professor, being like, solid silver with this tiny little blunt knife thing. And the professor's like cowering away. And we hear the professor changing into the monster as Brian's like attacking him. And Brian had hidden cameras in the office too, in the professor's office. So there's just cameras everywhere. We're getting angles from everything. And so he threatens the professor that if you don't turn me, I'm going to go tell those hunters who you are and yada, yada, yada. And so Brian's saying the hunters are going to go after the professor now. So we're in the clear. And they actually are watching like the live feed and like see Sam and Dean come in. And whenever Sam and Dean kill the professor, he goes, thank you, before he falls over.
And I thought that was kind of sad.
It was sad, but it's another thing that bumped for me.
Oh.
At this point, why did you turn Brian then? If you're just going to say thank you whenever the hunters finally show up and take you out, why not just tell Brian, do it?
Well, because Brian was like threatening. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Go tell the hunters who I am and where I am.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I didn't
if you just want it to be over, maybe the fact that he turned Brian, who he knows is just a little. Ugh,
yeah.
Ugh. Maybe he just was so disgusted with himself after the fact that's why he was just like, fuck this.
You're the worst.
He actually thought Michael was the worst. He was like, the kid that falls asleep in my lectures. Who's going to miss him?
Yeah, that was kind of shitty.
Sam and Dean find the cameras in the office. They sit here and watch them find them. So Michael is just like, dude, you don't think they're going to follow those cameras back to us? Well, this pisses Brian off. So he starts attacking Michael. All of a sudden, he's like, I'm a werewolf too now. I don't have to live in your shadow anymore. And it's like, that's when it all comes out that, oh, Brian actually fucking hates you. But because you've protected him, he's stuck around, or whatever the thing is.
That's when he does the Lord of the Flies thing again. He says he's sick of being Piggy and he wants to be Ralph.
I see. Yeah, I don't know who Ralph is.
I think because they form little societies, and I think Ralph is the one that heads whatever one Piggy's in, I think.
Which, what's wrong with you that you keep comparing your life to Lord of the Rings? What kind of life are you wanting to live, man?
Flies, Lord of the Flies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that tracks for you, though.
I just wanted to make sure you were listening.
Oh, okay. You got me.
Anyway, they're all wolfing out now, and Brian straight up fucking kills Michael.
Oh.
And Kate is obviously horrified. And then Brian's like, I'm going to turn you too. You'll understand once you can see things how we see.
Yeah, not your choice, but I'm going to do it for you.
Nope, not her choice at all. And because they had cameras all over the house, it's all caught on film. So she's trying to get away from him, and he can apparently teleport now, because he's behind her when she turns to run into the kitchen, and then he's in front of her instead. I was just like, what the fuck? And then he grabs her and bites her on the shoulder, and she gets away and goes into the bathroom and is, of course, livid. Then her super strength starts kicking in. And so she tears apart the bathroom, and then she picks up a camera and starts filming herself and films as she comes to this, resolution of, all right, I'm going to fucking murder Brian.
Yeah. Somebody needs to.
She's like smiling at herself. She's like, yeah, let's go. So then she starts being like, Brian, I get it now. I see now. And so she opens the door and is just smiling at him like all crazy. And then she turns into a werewolf and shreds him. I mean, like we said, we saw his foot just laying there on the side, I mean, he's exploded all over the living room. She got her vengeance for her murdered lover. So at the end, she does her monologue where she's basically saying, you know, I heard that professor's speech. I know that if I don't eat a human heart, that I'm going to have a better chance of controlling myself. So I'm not going to do that. I'm actively deciding that right now. No human heart for me. I am just going to live off of animal hearts. You guys will never see me again. You'll never hear from me again. Sam kind of starts saying like, okay, well, couldn't have been that long. We could probably catch up to her. And Dean's like, I don't know. They decide to give her a chance to let her go.
Well, because she mentions, you know, she didn't choose this. And I think that struck a chord with Dean because he mentions that too. He's like, well, you know, she said she didn't choose this. Let's give her a chance.
Right? Like it's kind of similar to what happened to Dean whenever he got turned into a vampire. That wasn't his choice. For whatever reason, they're like, let's put that song back on before we go. So they put the song back on. And so that song's playing again. It made me wonder, like, I wonder if this was like a friend of somebody of the show. And because they really featured that song. And it's not a bad song, but I didn't think it was like amazing either. It is a little bit of an earworm though. Yeah. And so for me to be like, not thinking it's an amazing song, I've actually been really annoyed going like, what's the matter with you? Stop. Last thought. Was this house the same house that was in Time After Time? I feel like I recognized those stained windows, the stained glass windows.
Same. And I kept thinking, how are these college students in this nice house?
Maybe Michael's rich. Like just the fact that he was a slacker at college and just kind of blowing stuff off and was fantasizing about being on a boat in the middle of the ocean. I have a feeling Michael was kind of a rich boy too.
But yeah, it looked familiar to me too.
I think it was the same house from Time After Time. The one where Dean showed up and was like, you got termites. This episode was written by Robbie Thompson and directed by Thomas J. Wright. All right, so gore. I mean, the goriest thing was that opener.
Oh, yeah.
Even though there were hearts getting torn out everywhere, like we never actually saw it. We never saw the half-eaten heart, and it was just bloody sheets.
Right.
You know, did you adore anything about this episode?
I liked Michael.
He was cute.
Yeah.
He was a cutie patootie.
What about you?
I liked Michael. I liked the found footage. Anytime they pay homage to horror films, like last season, season 7, they paid homage to Misery in the wedding episode with Becky. And anytime they pay clear homage to horror, whether it's a common trope or a specific film or something, I like that. And I like that they didn't do just another Paranormal Activity, right? That they tried to do something different. It made me think more of that. It reminded me more of what was the one where they were superheroes?
Who?
It was, I think Michael B. Jordan was in it and 2 other guys, and they like find a meteor or something and they become superheroes and they're like discovering their powers. And one of them turns villainous and they have to like defeat him. You remember that?
I know what you're talking about. I couldn't tell you the name of it, though. Yeah,
but it was a found footage movie.
Yeah.
So it reminded me more of that than Blair Witch or Paranormal Activity. They took a risk with that, and that was pretty cool. So for the lore, are you going to tell us about incels? Is that what's
Hell
going on?
No. Although maybe we should.
I mean, they aren't really supernatural, but
true. Nope. We're going over werewolves again. It's been a while since we've seen one on Supernatural, so we're going to do a flashback to our lore from season 2, episode 17, titled Heart.
It's usually thought of as a mythological animal, and it's been in tons of stories throughout, history.
Michael Sheen.
Oh, I know. I knew you were going to be talking about that. I thought we would wait until I got through the first part. But
no, Michael Sheen, butt ass naked, hanging off a cliff, getting fucked.
All right,
what is that movie? It's the Underworld. Is it The Rise of the Lycans? Whatever. It's a terrible movie, but I recommend it to everyone because Michael Sheen, naked, just with his arms out, being like, ah, as he's getting fucked.
And that is the lore of werewolves.
Yeah, no, I couldn't wait.
It's like, good God.
Michael Sheen.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way, and we'll talk about it again, I'm sure. So most legends say that they're people who morph into vicious, powerful wolves. Other times it's a mutant combination of human and wolf, but no matter what, usually they're bloodthirsty beasts and they can't control themselves and they are murderous, go on murderous rampages, killing people and other animals. There's no like set one that like set the legends or started it, but they think scholars, smart people,
Okay.
they think that the werewolf legend started in the debut of the epic Gilgamesh, which is the oldest known Western prose. And when Gilgamesh jilted a potential lover because she had turned her previous mate into a wolf. That's supposedly the first start of the tale, which that's fiction.
I have bad news for you.
What?
Like, Supernatural, the TV show we're watching, it's fiction.
Well, I know, but I'm saying like, so they're saying this is the first start of it, but then it's like all these people truly believe. Well, actually, back then, okay, never mind. I take it back. Another earlier appearance was in Greek mythology, which I had never heard of this, and like I'm an expert on Greek mythology.
You're not?
I know, it's a surprise.
What?
But the legend of the Lycaon, it's Lycaon, which I know lichen is just no O. Lycaon?
Lycaon.
Lycaon?
Lycaon.
Lycaon.
Lycaon. It's like
Well,
Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
Shaka Khan.
Okay.
Lycaon.
Well, with this legend, Lycaon, the son of Pelescus. At first I thought it was Pegasus. It's not. So, Lycaon, the son of Pelescus, angered Zeus when he served him a meal made of the remains of a sacrificed boy. You're a monster. And as punishment, the enraged Zeus turned Lycaon and his sons into wolves. And another one in Nordic folklore is the saga of the Volsungs, where the father and son discover wolf pelts that have a power to turn people into wolves for just 10 days, which I feel like that's probably where the lunar thing came from, maybe. And so this father and son wore the pelts, transformed into wolves, and went on a killing spree in the forest.
As one does.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do? And the rampage ended when the father attacked his son, causing a lethal wound, which I guess they got a little too excited. And the son only survived because he had a kind raven came and gave the father a leaf with healing powers.
Oh. It's like Hunger Games.
Right? Yeah.
Somebody sponsored them.
Yeah. Other ones, these aren't mythology, but these are from history. And a lot of these ended up, I mean, from our scholars, smart people. They say that they were actually serial killers that just, wild stories came about them. No, we're not there yet. Okay, we're in France. Oh. And in 1521, Frenchmen Pierre Burgot and Michel Verdun. Do you like that accent I'm putting on this?
I do. I do.
Like I know what I'm saying. They swore allegiance to the devil, supposedly.
Wasn't that around the time of the dance pandemic, whatever it was?
Oh, was it?
Wasn't it? Wasn't that 1400s, 1500s?
I think you're right, yeah.
So the devil made them do it. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know. Well, I don't know, because they have this special ointment.
Oh.
That turned them into wolves.
Oh.
So watch out for your essential oils, people. You never know. And, they confessed to brutally murdering several children. Monsters.
Jesus.
And so they were both burned at the stake. And at that time, burning was thought to be one of the only ways to kill a werewolf, probably plus witches and many other things.
I mean, burning's normally going to do it.
True.
Yeah.
As we know in Supernatural.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Giles Garnier was known as the werewolf of Dole. I don't know. Another 16th century Frenchman, and he had an ointment as well that had wolf morphing abilities. And when he was the wolf, he would also kill children, but he ate them as well.
All these ointments, man.
I know. Who knew? And guess what? He was burned at the stake. Now, they say whether Burgot, Verdun, or Garnier were mentally ill, or they just acted under the influence of like a hallucinogenic substance, or just were simply like psychos. That's for debate. They don't really know, but it doesn't really matter because it was just so many superstitions back in the 16th century with the Europeans. I mean, to them, these heinous crimes, like, I guess in their minds, it was too much to handle to believe like a regular old human person could do these horrific crimes. So it helped them, I guess, in a way to make this story that it had to be some beast wolf.
It was the ointment.
Yeah,
they turned into wolves.
Watch out! I gotta watch out for my tiger bomb.
I was gonna say icy hot. Icy hot. Limit your icy hot.
Okay, I guess if I gotta be a tiger, at least I'm up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. Okay, so I'll talk about real quick a few other ones. The Bedburg werewolf. When I was reading this, I thought it said the bedbug werewolf at first, so that was really confused. Peter Stubb was a wealthy 15th century farmer in Bedburg, Germany. And they say he might be one of the most notorious wolf of them all. Again, I haven't heard, and I'm an expert, so I don't understand. He turned into a wolf-like creature at night and devoured many citizens of the town. And he was actually eventually blamed for the gruesome killings after being cornered by hunters who claimed they saw him shapeshift from wolf to human form. And he experienced a really grisly execution when he confessed under torture to savagely killing animals, men, women, and children and eating them all. So he didn't just go after the kids.
Damn.
But he also said that he had an enchanted belt that gave him the power to transform into a werewolf at will. And it's in this article, it says, not surprisingly, that belt was never found. It's another controversial one that he may not have been a killer, but the victim of a political witch hunt or perhaps a werewolf hunt. Either way, circumstances surrounding his death, life and death stoked rampant fears and werewolves were on the loose. Some legends maintain that werewolves shapeshifted at will. Others say they transform with this, the cloak or sash or a belt, wolf pelt, ointments, all these things we've discussed. Then there's still the one where a wolf comes up and scratches or bites someone and then they become a werewolf. Or the werewolf itself does these things. And a person only turns into a werewolf when there's a full moon. And that they say that may not be too far-fetched. I mean, not the werewolf part, but at least the full moon part. Because according to a study conducted at Australia's Cavalry Mater Newcastle Hospital.
Okay.
A full moon brings out the beast in humans.
I agree with that, though.
Yeah? Why?
Have you ever been out in Deep Ellum during a full moon?
I wouldn't have known.
It's scary.
Oh, okay. This study found that 91...
Really?
Sorry, I read that wrong. The study found that of the 91 violent acute behavior incidents at the hospital between August 2008 and July 2009, that 23% happened during a full moon. The patients displayed wolf-like behaviors and attacked staff. They bit them, spit them, scratched at them. I like this. And then it says, although many were under the influence of drugs and alcohol at the time, it's unclear why they became intensely violent when the moon was full. Why did they have alcohol in the hospital? Like, I get if you're giving them some drugs prescription-wise, but what the fuck? Anyway, I like, are werewolves wheel? Are they wheel?
Are they wheel?
Are they wheel? Let's see. They say there could be a medical explanation, that there is somebody called Peter the Wild Boy. In 1725, he was found wandering naked on all fours through a German forest. And a lot of people thought he was a werewolf, or at least he was raised by wolves. He ate with his hands and couldn't speak. And he was eventually adopted by the courts of King George I and King George II and lived out his days as their pet in England.
What the fuck?
Yeah, real nice guys.
Oh my God.
But research says that he most likely had Pitt-Hopkins syndrome, a condition discovered in 1978 that causes lack of speech, seizures, distinct facial features, difficulty breathing, and intellectual challenges. And other medical conditions that could be mistaken for some of this, mania of the werewolves is lycanthropy. It's a rare psychological condition that causes people to believe they are changing into a wolf or other animal. Very much a mental health issue. Food poisoning. That's odd. And then hypertrichosis. A rare genetic disorder causing excessive hair growth. Rabies, and then hallucination, most likely by hallucinogenic herbs. Even though throughout history we've got many myths of these werewolves and beasts that are supposedly unexplainable, I think in our modern times we have a little more logical situations of what it could have been back in the day. And now, of course, it's in pop culture from the beginning of Hollywood's 1941 flick, The Wolf Man. Mm-hmm. And now we have our supernatural werewolf. But it's got kind of a cult-like following. And, of course, even today there's sightings that are reported. And, the legend lives on.
In Michael Sheen.
Mm-hmm.
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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I don't like that this royal family kept a person as a pet.
Yeah, and through 2 kings' lives.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was like probably an old man.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I don't like all the children killing and stuff like
Right.
that either,
No.
but I mean,
That's just cruel.
Yeah.
Don't try to like rehabilitate him or help him in any way.
I'll never forget saying that I am an expert now on werewolves. Don't come asking me about them, but I'm an expert.
You know what I'll never forget?
What?
Michael Sheen.
Oh God, yes.
hanging off that cliff. Well, a quote to close it out was from Kate. She said, "Shut up. Everybody shut up. First things first. Those guys aren't FBI. All right? I'm pretty sure that FBI agents don't say awesome that much."
That was good. It was good.
And then it was good at the end whenever Dean was like, "Do I really say awesome too much?" Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Denim Wrapped Nightmares.
Follow us on Twitter or Instagram, leave a review, and let us know how we can get involved in the fandom.
This was fun, jerk.
It always is, bitch.